Alright, hi everyone, it's me back with another video. It's gonna be a car video. Dancing with the Stars season. What season is it? 25? Yeah, season 25, week 7, which was Halloween week. As I said last week, the fact that we had Disney week and then movie week and then Halloween week just kind of, especially with those ones because it's so theme heavy, it just kind of it's just draining, and at a point it just feels like you're watching the same types of routines over and over and over again. So that's kind of how I felt this week while watching the show. I'm not watching it live right now, mostly because I prefer to watch Scared Famous on VH1, and it starts at 7, and so instead of watching it then, well, blah 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 blah, yada yada yada, all that stuff. So yeah, I missed the opening act number, but I didn't really see it. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. We had 3 judges again, so things are kind of back to normal, kind of. But the show was trash. So let's start up. First was Victoria, and now they had Viennese Waltz. They got a 27. It was overscored. I'm just gonna keep it short and simple and sweet and to the point. Whatever. It was overscored. They deserve no more than a 24. Because while it was alright, it wasn't that good. And I just need for the judges to get real with them because they're not real. And I don't think it's going to happen. And the only reason it's not happening is because she's with Val. And I don't know. I have this theory about what's going on with the show and all that stuff and why certain pros feel like they can just coast. While everybody else has to work super hard in order to get a quarter of what they're getting. So anyway, yeah, it wasn't that good. It wasn't all that interesting. It was very short. It was probably the shortest individual dance of the night. So that was very strange. But they still got a 27. Whatever. Up next was Jordan and Lindsay. They had a paso and they got a perfect score. Well deserved. It was a really, really good paso. One of the better pasos I've seen come out of Dancing with the Stars in a little bit, because the pasos on this show have tended to, over the past few seasons, they've become super theme. They're just super thick with the theme, and so that wasn't the proper way to say that, but I can't think properly today. That it just kind of gets in the way of the actual dance, and I think this is probably the best paso I've seen on this show since, I'm gonna say since season 22 at least, with Wanye's paso, which was really good, but also was very theme light. There was no theme for that, so. But yeah, I thought it was good. I didn't think they got too lost with it. They incorporated Halloween while keeping mostly paso. I thought they did a good job. Yeah. Up next was Nikki and Artem, and they had a jive, and they got a 24. I thought this was it was a decent dance. It wasn't her best. Goodness gracious. It wasn't her best. It wasn't her worst either. It was alright. I wish it would have been just a little bit better, I wish it would have been a little bit better. It wasn't terrible. And most of that I'm just gonna have to just chalk it up to the fact that she was her kicks and stuff, not just her kicks, but just everything about the dance just seemed kind of too, not timid because it wasn't timid, but too soft. Like, she was kind of marking her moves almost, and like she wasn't getting the full energy throughout all of her movements. And I'm not sure if she was just kind of tired this past week or what, but yeah, that was just the biggest issue with that dance, because otherwise there was nothing really bad about it. It just lacked energy. I thought they did a good job, although they were scored properly. It is upsetting that they were caught up in the double elimination, because in my opinion, I don't think she would have. I think she probably would have lasted 1 week, 2 weeks at the most, just because I don't think she was going to the finals. But I think she would have lasted 1 week extra had they not just done this stupid double elimination. But I'll get to that at the end of this video. And how terribly they handled that. Up next was Vanessa and Max, the other half of the double elimination. They had a paso, and they got a, what was it, a 24? Yeah, they got a 24 also. It wasn't bad. It was alright. Kind of messy in some places. But I think Max kind of gave her a lot to do for the most part. I just don't think it was, I don't know what was going on, but I don't know, just kind of, something was lost in translation. I'm not sure what it was. Yeah, I think she just kind of lost a little bit of control during the dance. That was, during the dance, and yeah. I mean, it wasn't really anything bad. It wasn't good either. It was their last dance, and I probably would have hoped that they would have gone out on a better dance, but you know, whatever. Up next was Taro. Yeah, it was Taro and Cheryl. They had a tango, and they got a 25. I thought this is alright. Again, another case where it wasn't his worst, but it wasn't his best either. I think this was the dance where their difference in height was going to show the most. Just because the tangos hold, from my unprofessional opinion and observation and stuff, the tangos hold, although, you know, everybody has, all the dances have similar holds, it feels like the tangos hold is a little bit different, and a little bit more rigid, and it's, you can't really move out and in of it as easily as you can in other dances, because according to the rules, meaning when they feel like enforcing it or not, you are supposed to be in hold for, you can be out of hold for like the first like 10 seconds of the dance, and you can be out of hold for like the last 10 seconds of the dance. For the rest of the time in between, you need to be in hold. So I think they've become more lenient with it in theme weeks, but then they also still call it sometimes, so it's very strange. It's kind of one of those things that I just don't really understand. But yeah, I just think that their height played a difference, because his hold was looking very strange this week. But he still did a pretty good job. I do think they were scored properly. It's just unfortunate that their height came into play with this dance. Up next was Lindsay and Mark. They had a paso as well, and they got a 27. I thought this dance was really good for the most part, although Lindsay's movement, her quality of movement, doesn't really fit for a paso, because she's kind of more airy and bouncy and stuff, just kind of naturally. I thought Mark did a really good job of creating a paso that would be good for her, because it wasn't like the typical pasos that we're used to seeing on this show, which is like slow and dark and brooding and all that stuff. This one was more, it was very fast, it was very still very much apostle, but very like almost bouncy in itself. So it kind of that was a good creative choice for him to do that, because had he tried to go with the darker grounded aggressive stuff, dance like that, I don't think it would have went over as well with her. And plus it was really good. The choreography itself was really good. And even with Lindsay's injury, she handled it very well. I thought she did a good job. It wasn't perfect, and you could tell that she was in pain. But she handled it very well. So, sorry about the light. There we go. I thought it was very good. Up next was Frankie and Whitney. They had a contemporary, and they got a perfect score. Very well deserved. I thought this was an amazing dance. Concept was amazing. Choreography was incredible. Frankie did an amazing job with it. Acting it out as well as just dancing it out, and everything about it was, I was shocked at how good it was. It was my favorite dance of the night, because I was just so shocked at how great it was. I think Whitney, I don't know what it is about this season or what it is about Frankie. I feel like there's a bunch of different things, a bunch of different factors going on. I think for one, she's getting older and more mature. That's number one. Number two, I think she has a partner in Frankie who she really believes in. Number three, I think she has I saw this a little bit at the end of last season when she choreographed that girls number. But it seems like she's getting her spark back. Like, I feel like she went through a phase for a few seasons there after she won with Alfonso, where she kind of felt like, and I feel like this is due to the Emmy backlash. I feel like there was a moment where she felt like she wasn't good enough, and she was questioning herself and questioning everything she was doing and stuff. And I think it kind of showed in the way she was partnering her partners and things, because she just didn't feel the same. Like, you just didn't feel the Whitney that you're used to, at least that I'm used to. And so I think Frankie came at the right time for her, and I think, it really just feels like she's finally feeling comfortable and confident in herself again. And that's nice to see. And then I also think it helps that we've gotten rid of the switch up week, because the judges would rake her. It was her, and then Keo only made it there once, but Keo, her, and Sasha, who they would destroy during switch up week, and just completely they were mean to almost every single pro on the switch up week, and every single couple, unnecessarily so, because it was a bunch of just strange circumstances. But especially with those three, they really were awful to them. So I'm glad they got rid of that too, because I think that was leading to some of her issues. But yeah, great dance, much deserved, perfect score. Up last was Drew and Emma. They had a Charleston. They got a 27. I actually really liked this dance. I didn't even realize that he fell until Aaron was the one who pointed it out, because I didn't notice that they fell. And I noticed that they fell, but it was like, oh, this is kind of like quirky, like kind of part of the choreography, like the judges thought. But I guess not. They covered it up really well. So kudos to them for that. I actually enjoyed it. It was probably my favorite dance of his for over the entire season. It was just really fun, and I thought he did a good job. As far as the score goes, I've heard people say maybe he shouldn't have gotten a 27. I could see why. Personally, I think it was a 27 worthy dance, because I didn't really see anything truly wrong with it, but that's my opinion. So yeah, we finish the individual rounds and go with, goodness, my words. I'm sorry. Bear with me, y'all, because this has been a day. The team dances. Okay, so how do I approach this without ranting for 20 minutes? I'll just say this: neither team dance was worthy of a perfect score. I'll just throw that out there right now. Beyond just liking the superficial, liking one dance over the other, if you actually look at what they were doing, their technique and stuff, and the difficulty, I'll say that Team Monster Mash, which was composed of Taro, Jordan, Lindsay, and Nikki, was much harder. Was a much harder dance. Was a much more interesting concept. I actually didn't think it looked as bad as the judges were saying it looked. And I actually enjoyed it. Now, with them, there's issues. One, I do think that the corn maze was a Herculean task. And while I think they handled it very well for the most part, there were times that I felt like the corn maze got in the way. And as a result, sometimes people lost sync with each other. Going with the losing sync, I also believe that there was just there were some issues with synchronicity, especially at the end, and I saw it with Taro, and I saw a couple times with Nikki. Lindsay and Jordan were pretty much perfect, but the other two had a couple of issues, but they weren't huge. Now, with that said, they didn't deserve a perfect score, but I personally think they should have gotten at least 1 point higher. I think they probably could have gotten a 25 or a 26 instead of a 24. Again, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't awful like the judges were making it seem. So, let me get into Team Phantom of the Opera. Or Ballroom, or whatever the heck they decided to call themselves. That was of the other four: Vanessa, Victoria, Drew, and Frankie. Yeah, those four. This got a perfect score. There was no need for it to get a perfect score. It was not good. It wasn't perfect score good. In fact, I would say Team Monster was better. And here's why. Number one, this dance looked like a dumbed down, off-brand version of about 3 team dances that we've seen in the past. Team Tango from season 14, Team Tango from season 9, and then if you really want to reach and look into things, I would say Team Paso from season 7. All 3 of those I saw in this Team Opera, or whatever the heck they call themselves. Now, going on further, beyond just that, they were off so many times, out of sync. People were off doing things they weren't supposed to. It was a mess. I was watching it and I was like, ooh, this is really a mess. Like when they were doing the arm things, you would see Victoria's arm before it was supposed to everybody else's, or like after everyone else's, and it wasn't like the staggered thing. It was more of just everybody was doing it at the same time, but hers was like before. And then like Vanessa was off a few times, and then Drew was off a few times. I don't think I saw Frankie off, but then again, I didn't really see Frankie at all except for at the very beginning. At the very end, I didn't see him any other time. And then it was just like a mess, and the formations were a mess, and it was like you could lose them. And like during the couples, not couples, the celebs 20-second their 20-second solo with each other, it just was messy, and like you could look at each one of their faces and see that none of them knew what was going on, and they were trying to figure out, okay, what comes next, and there was just like fear plastered over their faces and just being unsure and uncertain. It was a mess. So for the judges to really go off about how amazing it was, when to me and to many others the complete opposite was what was displayed, it makes me wonder what the agenda is here. And this is where the show gets on my nerves, because it is clear, very, very clear, that there was a second or an agenda at play on Monday night. It was very clear. And I'm going to say that from what I can gather, because they already knew who was leaving, what I'm thinking is that they were trying to take somebody out on Team Monster. T.O. would be the person that they're trying to get rid of. And they're trying to save another person on Team Phantom. That person, I'm going to say, is Victoria. And in order to do that, they had to grossly underscore one team and really talk about how bad it was when it wasn't all that bad, and grossly overscore another team beyond all of the mistakes that were made. The very, very, very obvious mistakes that were made. It was very clear to an untrained dancer's eyes how many mistakes that team made. And I'm not saying this as being favorites or anything, because honestly, I didn't care for either dance. I enjoyed Team Monster more because I thought it was cute, but neither dance I'm never going to look those up again and like search for them and be like, oh my gosh, these dances are amazing. Like, that's not me. So this is somebody who is just kind of, whatever, and is just looking at both of those dances. Neither dance was good. Period. So yeah, that just, it bothers me how I'm not sure if they think we're stupid and we don't see this, or if these new producers are just that dumb, and they are just that dumb, or are they just that arrogant in thinking that they can just do whatever? Because it's one of those three. Either they think we're dumb, or they're just arrogant and they think they can get away with doing whatever, or they're dumb and they don't realize that people are going to catch on to this, whatever they're doing. So those are the team dances. Double elimination. Nobody said it was a double elimination. The viewers who saw the one, you could kind of feel that there was going to be a double elimination, not throughout the night, but like in the week leading up to it. It just felt like it was about time for them to do a double elimination. That was the first thing. The second thing was that the viewers who saw the press release saw that they said there will be an elimination at the end of the night. Usually they say one couple will be going home. So that language, that change in language kind of opens it up and makes it free, so that if they wanted to only do one couple, then they could do one couple. But if they wanted to do two couples, then they would do two couples. Or if they wanted to just do three couples out of nowhere because fun, then we could just do three couples and like surprise everybody and just get rid of three people right now. Do I think they would ever do the three couple elimination? If you asked me a few weeks ago, if you asked me before this past Monday night, I would have said no. Now I'm not so sure. But yeah, so they just they didn't discuss it with the celebrities and pros or whatever. So, they were taken by surprise when they're like, it's a double elimination, and both Nikki and Vanessa and their partners were gone. And, that's just really, that's a messed up way to do things. To be honest, I'm not sure how much Artem gets paid, but he's been kind of the pro the past 2 seasons that's just been caught up. It's just been collateral damage in the agenda. Last season with what's her name? Nancy. They kind of were caught up in the double elimination during immunity week, when I feel like Normani was going to leave and she got immunity, while Simone shockingly didn't get a perfect score for Perfect Charleston. So he got caught up in that, and then he got caught up in this surprise double elimination. I don't think he and Nikki were leaving this week. Again, as I've said, I think Vanessa and Max were probably squarely at the bottom of the leaderboard. I just don't see but I don't see people were voting for her. Don't think people were really voting for her. Obviously, people weren't voting that much for Nikki either, but I think they're voting more for her than they were for Vanessa. It is unfortunate that they got taken out like that, because it's just frustrating, and I feel Artem's pain. I can tell that he's really upset. So yeah, that's that for this stupid show. Not up next, but on Monday, tomorrow, we have Trios Week with celebrity partners. That has the potential. Well, it has the potential to be good, but knowing this show, they're going to screw it up. Yeah, I'm so glad that they're going to be done until next year. They really need to fix things, or I don't know, something needs to happen, because I'm so sick of this show. So yeah, that's it. Till next week sometime. I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.